Hi there, VC. It's Steve Whitty here. It's been a week and a half since my last video, and this video is I'm going to be ranking the albums of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, a band that I've got a particular fondness for, and it's been partly inspired. I might have shown this a few weeks back. I've just finished reading Greg Lake's autobiography, Lucky Man. Very honest, very honest book, and I suspect written in the knowledge that he was dying of pancreatic cancer. He died in December 2016, and I think that helps with the honesty. It quickly point out the triumphs of his career. Emerson, Lake and Palmer obviously feature heavily, but obviously King Crimson, and also he's not afraid to speak out when things went wrong, particularly relationships within the band. So if you haven't read this book, I would recommend you find a copy. I managed to pick this up for £3. It might be a little bit more, but it's well worth a read. I definitely would recommend. So, how did I get into Emerson, Lake and Palmer? First job, really. It's got to be about 35 years ago. I worked with a guy. He was a keyboard player. He tried his luck in bands, and occasionally just did like semi-pro stuff. And we were talking about music, and I was pretty like new wave punk metal at that time. And he goes, "Oh, Emerson, Lake and Palmer," and I just went, "Phew." It's like it was the band that everyone avoided. They were synonymous with excess and everything. And he says, "No, you've really got to give them a chance." And I knew he told me Keith Emerson was his musical hero. So for a cost of a C90 tape, he did me what he thought would be a best of compilation, sort of like a taster. And I must admit, I enjoyed it a lot. And pretty soon, he did me all the albums, So I had them on tape, and it's been sort of like a love affair that I've had with the band, particularly the '70s stuff. That's really followed me through. The video is going to focus on that '70s period. Yeah, I haven't got the In Concert album. And I haven't got the two albums that they did in the '90s. I've also not included like Emerson, Lake and Powell or Free, the spin-off that Keith Emerson and Carl Palmer did with Robert Berry in 1988. So it's very much classic Emerson, Lake and Palmer that I'm ranking. So without further ado, I'm going to start. I've got 9 albums that I'm going to rank. So coming in at number 9, I've put Emerson, Lake Palmer Works Volume 2. This album, while it's got some good tracks on there, Tiger and Spotlight I liked. Does have a feeling of a bit of a odds and sods album, sort of like we got some bits that we couldn't feature on Works 1. We'll put it on Works 2. And it has that feel of a bit of like, as I said, an odds and sods album. You've got, I believe, in Father Christmas, which is the acoustic version, so it's not the full-blown single. And Honky Tonk Train Blues, which was a minor hit single for Keith Emerson, I think top 30 in 1977. Watching Over You, again, that's a nice track. I like that. And it's got the track Brain Salad Surgery as well, which might have been an outtake from that album. Overall, not a great album, not a bad album either. At number 8, and this is probably the album that Emerson, Lake and Palmer fans don't really like mentioning, it's Love Beach. The album itself, I think there are some good tracks on there. I think the Canario is a good one. Gambler's a good one. This was pretty much recorded to end the contract with Atlantic in the States. In the book, Greg Lake mentions they wanted to split up, and it basically no. Ertegun said, no, you owe me an album. And basically, it just so happened that at this point they were living in the Bahamas, and this was recorded at Compass Point Studio. So they recorded it just really as a sort of an off take, just to you have to excuse the lights flashing in here, sort of some reason, just to finish the album off. And again, it does feel like that. Memoirs of an Officer and Gentleman, which is side 2, I could do without. And I think what killed the album really is the cover. They look like wannabe Bee Gees at this point. Chest hair, medallions, it's awful. Whoever thought the idea, and the actual title of the album, Love Beach, it's just everything is totally wrong about that. So that's my number 8. Number 7, I've gone for the Triple Live album, Welcome Back My Friends, to the Show That Never Ends. I think marked an era for the band, really on a creative high point, and this sort of sort of closed that era. They took a bit of a hiatus after this album. If you haven't seen the album, it's a really well packaged, beautiful packaged album. E-L, and whoop, am I going that way? P. There you go. A really good live album. I'm happy with that. I think the highlight for me would be the Discs 3, which is Carnival 9, First Impression and Second and Third Impression. That sounds awesome. It sounds awesome live. At number 6, I've gone for Works Volume 1. Now, in the book, Greg Lake is very candid about this. He admits he let his heart rule over his head. He felt at this time that really the band should have split up at this point. But Keith Emerson was really insistent on, he wanted to do a big work with an orchestra, and he got this piano concerto, and then you've got he wanted to do big orchestral works, wanted to tour with an orchestra, and rather than Greg Lake saying no, I don't think it's worth it, they went yes. The album itself, it's got Fanfare for the Common Man, which was provided their biggest hit single, got to number 2 in 1977. You've got Pirates on there, but the first 3 sides are really a side each. So Keith Emerson's got his piano concerto number 1. Greg Lake's got some nice tracks on here. C'est la Vie, probably my favourite. Nobody Loves You Like I Do. Hello Be Thy Name, it's a good one. Carl Palmer, all instrumental. He does a reworking of Tank from the first album on here. So some of the tracks are not bad. I just don't think it's one of their great albums. And the subsequent tour, and the reason I think why Greg Lake sort of regrets it, cost them millions, because they toured with a full orchestra, and the problem was it was so big. Carl Palmer's stainless steel drums, no stage was big enough to be able to hold them, and they're just hemorrhaging money. Orchestra has to be paid. At number 5, I've gone for Trilogy. This is the band's 3rd studio album. Greg Lake in the book would say this was the creative peak for the band. I do enjoy the album. Hoedown is still used as the theme song for Danny Baker's radio show, and he's a huge Emerson, Lake and Palmer fan, and he'll say it's the best gig he's ever seen to anyone. You've got there From the Beginning as well, and The Sheriff, the title track Trilogy itself. Not a bad album, but I don't think it's one of their better albums. Number 4, I've gone for the debut Emerson, Lake and Palmer album. This sort of indicates where the band was up their ideas. You've got Take a Pebble, Knife Edge, Tank, which I mentioned earlier. But you've also got Lucky Man. Now, Lucky Man plays a significant role. It's obviously the title of the book, but it was one of the first songs that Greg Lake ever had written, and they wanted the track to fill the album up. And he says, well, I've got this song that I've had for years. They played it. Keith Emerson went away and said, well, I could do something with this, and Carl Palmer said I could do something with this as well. So that's how that track got put together. 3, Tarkus, the second album, and this is probably where the band sort of took ownership. It laid a marker down for the rest of their career, to be quite honest. Obviously the massive title track, split into several sections. Very much an album with 2 sides. Logical. Second side, you've got Jeremy Bender, Bitches Crystal, The Only Way, Infinite Space, Time and a Place, and then rather throw out song Are You Ready, Eddie, which is sort of like dedicated to their engineer Eddie Orford. At number 2, I've gone for Brain Salad Surgery. Probably the band at its creative, I feel, at its studio, at its creative peak. You open up with Jerusalem. You've got Toccata, Still You Turn Me On. Eddie, what's the name? Benny the Bouncer, sorry. Then Carnival 9. I just think it's just they're at their, as I say, to be honest, at their creative peak. So that's my number 2. At number 1, it's Pictures at an Exhibition, the live album. It was sort of like put out sort of a throwaway album. I think the band insisted it went out to be a little bit cheaper than normal. They played Pictures at the Exhibition at their debut gig at the Isle of Wight Festival. Oh, no, the second, maybe, no, was it their, yes, it was their debut gig. They might have done a little small gig, but their major show, which sort of, they came on to Cannon Fire and probably blew the stage off. It's very hard, very hard to imagine what an effect they had when they prepared on stage. As I say, this was recorded at Newcastle City Hall, and what makes it so great is the promenade, which is the opening bit, was actually played on the big church, big organ that's in City Hall. They were given permission to do that. Normally, it would just be played on the Hammond, I think. And it's the crowd get into it. It's just one of those great live albums. And then you got Nut Rocker at the end. It's just absolutely brilliant. It's the album of theirs I play the most, and I can't say to speak highly of it. So yes, it's an unusual subject to do a ranking. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Let me know what you think. Do you like the band, or do you think they're a little bit overblown prog dinosaurs? Should stick to with their Persian carpet. Greg Lake just mentioned that. Yes, it did cost $6,000. If you've stumbled across the channel for the first time and like what you see, click on the subscribe button. I've had a bit of a hit on that. I'm suddenly at 192, so 200 subscribers are beckoning. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Love the interaction. Feel free to comment. I will reply back to you. Until the next top video, VC. Take care of yourselves. Keep spinning. More importantly, keep smiling. See ya.